Hi, welcome to Wheelie Made It. I'm Wheelie and I made this throw. It's an open weave pattern, so it's perfect to curl up under on a spring or summer evening when it's a little chilly. When I planned the throw, or blanket if you prefer, I was trying for three things: a modern geometric look, really straight edges, and an easy pattern so I could crochet without concentrating too much. So this throw is worked in V-stitches, so it looks like little triangles stacked together. It's a simple one row repeat that you won't need to count to follow, and it has really straight edges. I hope you enjoy making it. You can make the throw using any yarn you like, but I've used a 4-season spot saver in USA style, which means a worsted weight or an Aran yarn, and I've used a neutral grey colour. Now the yarn label suggests that you need a hook that is 5mm. I feel that's a little on the small side, and I use a 5.5 or even a 6mm hook, but you do you. More importantly, if you're going to use Spot Saver, I suggest you shop in store, because while lot 31 in this colour grey is a dream, it is soft as butter and it is beautiful to work with. I've bought other colours and even other dye lots, and they were nothing like as soft. Yeah, so I like to touch the yarn before I buy it, if that doesn't sound creepy. If you're going to work in worsted or Aran weight yarn, you might like to click the little down arrow, because I've popped in the description box the dimensions of my blanket and the quantity of yarn I used with conversions for yardage and weight in ounces to give you an idea of how much yarn you'll need. You don't need anything special for this, just a crochet hook that matches your yarn, a pair of scissors to do your snipping and cutting. You need an embroidery or darning needle to sew in your tails, and you might like to use a stitch marker if that helps you. So grab your hook and grab your yarn and let's get started. I'm going to begin by making a slip knot and a chain. For this pattern, you need a chain that's a multiple of 3 plus 1. So for my actual throw, I chained 127. 126 can be divided by 3, and then I added 1. For this little swatch, I'm just going to chain 16, which should do the trick. It'll let me walk you through a couple of rows without taking too long. Now, I work in US crochet terms, so if you prefer UK terms, just pretend I'm saying treble crochet when I say double crochet. Okay, so here is my little chain of 16, and we are going to work into the 4th chain from the hook. Don't count the loop on the hook, just count these little chains, 2, 3, and that is my 4th chain. I'm going to work a double crochet into it. Yarn over, insert your hook into the chain, just catching one loop, yarn over and pull through, so you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Now we're going to skip the next 2 chains and work into that 3rd one along with another double crochet. And a chain 1 and another double crochet into the same chain space. Now we're going to skip the next 2 chains and work a double crochet and a chain 1 and a double crochet, and that little collection of stitches is called a V-stitch, and if you have a look at it, I think you'll be able to tell why. See, we have 2 little V's. So we're going to skip the next 2 chains and work a V-stitch, which is a double crochet, a chain 1 and a double crochet, and you'll do that all along your starting chain. A V-stitch, skip 2 chains, V-stitch, skip 2 chains, right along until you reach the end and you have just 3 chains left. And then you're still going to skip 2 chains, but instead of a V-stitch, you're going to work 1 lonely double crochet all by itself. Have a little look. So we end with that lonely double crochet, and we begin the row with what is meant to be a V-stitch. We're going to start our next row by chaining 2, and you can pop your stitch marker in that 2nd chain, and then you chain 1 more. So we really start by chaining 3. We're going to work a double crochet in the same stitch that our chain 3 comes out of, right there, and that forms our first V-stitch for the row. And from here, we're going to skip 2 and work into the top of that 3rd stitch there with a V-stitch. You guessed it. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And this is the row that you are just going to repeat throughout your blanket. You're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and work a V-stitch into the third. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skip 2, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skip 2, all the way along your blanket. And I'll show you what to do when you reach the end of the row. So we are still going to skip 2. We're going to skip that one, and we're going to work into that one there. But we're going to work into it from the side. So catching 2 loops on my hook, I'm going to make a double crochet in that space to end the row. There we go. Chain 3. 2 of those chains count as a double crochet, and the other one is the chain between our V-stitch. Then turn your work and have a little look at this. Do you see the way the V-stitch is making triangles? Once you're into the rhythm of it, it's a really easy pattern. Each row starts with a chain 3 and then a double crochet into the same space, just like this, and that counts as your first V-stitch. And then you just keep skipping 2 and working a V into the third until you get to the end of the row where you just put 1 lonely double crochet. And if you don't want to count the stitches from above, you can count them from the side. You see, you can just look up the diagonal of that little triangle, and that is the stitch that you work into. I'll show you again in the next one. Double crochet in there. And now we skip 2, or we have a look and see that that diagonal leads to this third stitch along, and work our V-stitch into it. So we're going to skip 2 stitches, skip that one, and work into that one. So from above, it's that, and we're working into that one. Yarn over and insert your hook. Just make sure through the blanket that you're consistent about which 2 loops of that stitch you worked into. Otherwise, it's not really that crucial. And I'm just going to chain 3 and turn my work so I can start the last row. So while my hands are working away, I just wanted to explain why I have you starting each row with a chain 3. You might have expected to start each row with a chain 4, because often we use a chain 3 to stand in place of a double crochet, and so we'd then add 1 more chain to be the chain in the middle of the V-stitch. However, if you start your rows with a chain 4 with this pattern, you get a bulge at each row, and I really wanted a very straight side, so a chain 3 it had to be. Okay, so 1 last V-stitch at the top of that diagonal, and double crochet, and I needed to grab a bit more yarn, sorry about that. Chain 1, double crochet, and I'll show you how to put in that final stitch in the row one last time. So we skip 1, 2 and work into the third. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a bit blurry. Here we are, we skip 1 and 2 and work into the third. There we go. Just 1 double crochet at the end of every row to finish. I'm going to chain 1 and bring in the scissors and snip. I love that moment. And draw out your hook and have a little look at this swatch. Tighten it up a little where you've done the chain 1 to finish it. And we're not going to do anything particularly special with weaving these ends in. I just want you to have a look at the way we have 2 kind of rounded corners there and there, and then we have where our tails are here, we have more of a pointy corner here and a pointy corner here, And I just want, when you weave your tails in, for you to try to make your corners a little bit more curved like the other ones, because I think it looks nice that way. So yes, nothing particularly special, just weave your ends in and make sure you're giving them a little bit of a curve, like so. There. And do the same to the other tail end. Bring it around again so it's got that nice curve to it. Just pop your hook in there. Yep. And snip, and we're done. Have a look at this. I really like this pattern. I love the way all the little triangles are nestled in together. I find it really pleasing. And I love the straight edges on it. There is just no need to put a border on this blanket. In fact, I think putting a border on it would just not work. It's an open weave blanket and it's intended for warmer weather. If you put a border on it, it would just be too heavy. So for me, the only thing that's wrong with this swatch is it's just not big enough. So I'm going to get crocheting. If you enjoyed the tutorial, please click like and click subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.